Hi guys, we are back with part 2 of analyzing some really great flute players, and today I'm doing your top picks. Thank you to everyone for your many suggestions. We had a list of like over 60 different flutists from all over the world, and you guys chose your top 5. So let me give you guys what you are all here for, which is to listen to these great players. Ow. Okay, so first up we're going to be looking at probably the top suggestion. Like, I don't think there were nearly as many votes for anybody than this person, Denis Bouriakov, and for very good reasons. He is an incredible player. And I'm particularly excited to look at his playing because he has got a really interesting playing technique. So let's check this out. Okay, so unfortunately this video is not very high quality, so we don't get a super clear picture. I'm hoping some of the other videos are going to be a bit clearer. But the first thing that we immediately notice is that off to the side embouchure. And I think of all the players I have seen, he has got the most off to the side embouchure. But a couple of things to point out. Again, you've got that really nice 45-degree angle of flute to body. I hope we're starting to get a sense of how unbelievably common that is. This hand position fascinates me. I think it's one of those really good examples of how he's doing something that I would probably reprimand my students for doing because it looks really uncomfortable. Personally, that baby finger gives me stress looking at it and how it's almost like bending backwards like that. But who am I to argue with this incredible genius of flute playing, right? I mean, he just plays so incredibly. And I think it's a good example that sometimes doing the wrong thing is not necessarily the wrong thing, and it really works for somebody. I mean, he is so incredible. Listen to that incredible finger technique. I mean, it's flawless, right? Awesome. So one of the things that Denis Bouriakov has become quite well known for is taking actually violin pieces, so like violin concertos and other violin works, and playing it on the flute. I also think other things that he's really well known for, or that I particularly love and respect about his playing, the most beautiful, deep, rich, full, warm sound. And I know there's like a lot of discussion around like how much difference does the flute make and doesn't the flute make, and I'm not going to get into that because that's a whole can of worms. But I do want to say something that's very interesting about Denis Bouriakov that I discovered recently, which is that he actually plays on a silver altus flute. He's playing with the wind band. I literally just noticed that now. I'm not gonna lie. Seriously, they sound like an orchestra. It's impressive. Look at that hand position. I mean, I will say this about his hand position. He is definitely using rockstraw hold here. So that you can see the thumb is quite far behind the flute like that, and we have the fingers being a little bit flatter out like that. So it's definitely a rockstraw position, which I have fundamentally got absolutely no problems with. Okay, let's move on to another video and see what else we can find. I found this nice video where we can get a glimpse, hopefully, of his embouchure a bit more closely. Again, solo for violin. As I said, famous for playing some of those violin pieces. So here we can really get a sense of that off to the side embouchure. And I think what's so encouraging, again, is how beautiful his sound is. Like, it doesn't really matter where that embouchure is sitting. You can get a beautiful sound pretty much anywhere. We can see here how rolled in he plays. Just compare it again to the Pahu video that we did in part 1, which was really rolled out. And here we can see how much more rolled in he plays. Like off to the side. Ah, there we go. Got a nice front shot of him. There we go. Here you can see it so nicely, how absolutely off to the side that embouchure is. So it's like almost here. Also get a sense here again of the slight tilting down of the flute. But what's really interesting here is his head is upright. So he's got a beautifully upright head. Very different, for example, to the Galway or the Rampal, where there was a slight tilt in their head. Here we actually have an upright head. Then the flute goes off to the side. But again, look at that inner line of the inside edge of that lip to the flute. Perfectly parallel. Just because we are commenting here on hand positions today. As much as this right hand position for me feels like, isn't that uncomfortable? The left hand actually looks really nice and comfortable, just so effortless and easy. And I think in general, his playing just feels very effortless. It certainly sounds really effortless, even though when you look at the sort of sideways embouchure and even this hand position a little bit, it seems like it shouldn't be effortless. And yet it is. And so I think it's again a reminder how different we all are. Every single player is different. Your bodies are different. Your anatomy is different. Your personalities are different. And so when teachers come and tell you this is the way that you have to play the flute, there is no other way, I always want you to kind of question that, because there is no one way of playing the flute. It does not exist. Cool. Made my point. Okay. As much as I could sit and listen to Bouriakov all day, we are moving on. And we are moving on to, I'd say probably like the grandfather of flute playing, or, well, one of them, Marcel Moyse. Also way up on the list there with you guys, for good reason. This guy is probably one of the most influential players of our time, certainly of the last 100 years. We don't have all that much video footage, so this is going to be mostly listening and a little bit of looking at some images. Okay, let's do this. A very nice little golden moment that we can actually see some of Moyse's playing here. Interesting here, again, look at this wonderful, wonderful, wonderful left-hand position. You'll see that baby finger is so nice and round and released there, which personally is what I teach. I want to just take a moment, and I'm going to zoom out again here to look at the embouchure. So Moyse, we've got a slightly off to the side embouchure. I'm wondering if we can get a bit of a clearer picture. Definitely off to the side yet again. Also that nice angle that we saw with Bouriakov. So a lot of similarity there in terms of the off to the side and that slightly slanting down angle. And you guys guessed it, we've got that lovely 45-degree angle of body to flute coming through there. And similar to Bouriakov, we've got that straight-ish head, slight tilt, ever so slight tilt, and then the angle down flute. Very interesting. So I think we're starting to see an interesting pattern here of off to the side, especially off to that left, where we get that flute angling down slightly. Ooh, we have another one here.
It was as a player when he was playing actively. It is as he teaches each individual student, and it is through his books, which he's writing all the time now.
I mean, I was kind of distracted by the words in the background. And it's something worth mentioning about Moyse. Moyse has written so many incredible, incredible flute books. The top one probably being that Della Sonorite, those tone exercises, absolutely incredible. I mean, he's a lot older here, right? Probably well into his 70s, if not into his 80s already. And I think what's so interesting is what he's doing with his lips when he's doing this.
Now, still thinking about what he can do to make
There's definitely some tonguing going on there, but you can just see that incredible embouchure control that even at this age he's got. Really, really, really awesome. Okay, let's do a little bit of listening to his tone. Beautiful. By the way, just looking at this nice photo of him with a pipe in his mouth, I saw a documentary where someone was saying he's one of the only flute players they know that could smoke a pipe and play the flute at the same time. But apparently what he would do is he would, be playing his flute, practicing his flute, and then he would take his pipe out and he'd have a few puffs of his pipe, and then he'd put it back down and he'd play a bit more, and then he'd take a glass of wine and he'd drink something. But some comments on his tone. We get that very, very typical French sound. So that quite shimmery, light vibrato, quite sort of a delicate but very colorful sound. Very, very, very pretty and very different to Bouriakov and some of the plays that we did in the first video of this, which, by the way, if you haven't seen, I'm going to recommend go and watch it. It's so interesting just to see how different all of these players are. Also, wonderful older photo of him. Look at that. Again, just getting a sense of that lovely angle. If I haven't convinced you by now, then I never will. But seriously, that's just really awesome. Okay, flute nerds, I think we've got to stop nerding out on this and go to the next player. And now we're going to look at another really great player, a British player, William Bennett, who studied with the same teacher as James Galway, for that matter, Geoffrey Gilbert. I tried to find some videos a little bit more close up and a bit clearer, but I have to say I struggled. Beautiful sound again. Yet again, that beautiful open full sound. You can kind of hear it's the same school as Galway in the sense that it's that warmer, richer, more open sound with quite a bit of vibrato, but really lovely, delicate phrasing here as well. Very, very beautiful. This particular angle here, you can see it very clearly. So this incredible like bend over of the neck and then the flute kind of going down. Now he doesn't always play like that. There's movement, so he is moving and there is a sense of freedom in this. It's not like he's just stuck there. But what's so interesting here, you can see this incredible angle, this 90-degree angle of the flute to the head, which makes me think he's probably pretty central with that embouchure. We'll hopefully get a glimpse in a moment again. Very relaxed body, like the body again in that 45 shoulders to flute angle, but very relaxed feeling. And there's a bit of natural movement, but nothing excessive. It's really quite lovely to see and to listen to. Gorgeous sound. Okay, let's find another video. It wasn't entirely intended, but I feel like today is hand position day. We're checking out their hand positions. These fingers, these three fingers that are quite released, they're kind of touching the pads or the keys, not entirely curved or entirely straight, but at a little bit of an angle. Just looks really lovely. You can also see that thumb a little bit less rockstro than I actually would have expected. The thumb isn't fully back like that. It's sort of just a bit under the flute to the side. Actually, basically where I have my thumb as well. So that feels comfortable, but probably just because I'm like, I do that. Slightly straighter baby finger as well, but it doesn't feel forced or tense in any way. And I think I pointed this out in the previous video of the middle embouchure. Again, not the clearest of videos here, but I think we're getting a pretty central embouchure there. Mr. Bennett, if I am wrong, I apologize, but I think I'm right. A very nice released embouchure as well, nothing too tight, and I think also playing slightly more on the rolled inside rather than the very outside. I think, again, this is like a bit of guesswork here because this video is not very clear. This is an interesting one, the thumb. If you look at that thumb, the thumb is not bent like this, but you'll see, and you can't see it that well from this angle, but it's kind of like the thumb is a bit further up on that flute. So it's not that the tip of the thumb has to be on the keys there. It's kind of like the side of the thumb is a little bit on those keys. Watch this. You can kind of see it's almost touching the keys with that part of the thumb over there. Okay, we are moving on to another player, to Marina Piccinini, and I have to say I had to literally Google how she says her name. I was like, Piccinini? That's kind of what she said, I think. So that's what we're going with, Marina Piccinini. What beautifully sensitive playing. Whoa. I think here we get a really good view of the embouchure more or less in the middle. We get more more or less that parallel line there, although the flute's slightly slanting down in the head. It might just be this moment that she sort of moved a little bit. Very beautiful, soft notes. And you can see that lovely kind of forward movement of the lips, that kind of kissing, pouting embouchure shape that she gets, and that incredible control with the opening of the lips. Absolutely beautiful. Let's watch some more. There you can see that so nicely. Watch those lips. Look at that. Look at that very tiny little opening there. That really lovely forward Instagram pouts. Beautiful. Something that I just want to bring up here, which is always an interesting topic and an interesting conversation. Some flute players, and we saw this very much with some of the other players, where they're standing a little bit more still and calm and beautiful, beautiful expressive playing, but their body is generally a little bit more still. And then someone like Marina, who is quite expressive with her movement. So she's moving quite a lot more. And personally, I think both are beautiful. Some people find it distracting to have all the movement. Some people find it boring to have no movement. So this is, again, comes down to personal preference. But I think what's really, really, really important always with movement. So if you're a mover, I'm a mover, by the way. I move a lot when I play, and I have to really be careful of it, because the only danger with movement is that it can get in the way of your support and your breathing structure. We spoke about this quite a lot last time, where you saw these players all moving kind of from their feet and moving more horizontally. And so we just have to be careful we're not getting in our own way with our movements. Clearly she's not. It's beautiful, beautiful, and very expressive. But just notice how much more movement there is compared to, for example, William Bennett. I think what's really amazing here is just how unique every single one of these players are. They all have their own unique voice style, interpretations, tones, hand positions even. It's so, so, so awesome. And I just want to remind us all that we shouldn't be bashing on each other. We shouldn't be hating on each other. We shouldn't be tearing each other down. We should be building each other up as a community. Okay, lecture's over. Let's listen to another video. Something else. Ooh. I have to say that this is probably some of my favorite type of flute playing, and I'll tell you why. I mean, it's her tone is gorgeous, her phrasing, everything, you know, check, 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 check. But what I really feel in this is like she's telling us a story with every single note. Like every single note has purpose. It's like she's speaking sentences or words through her music. I love this type of flute playing. It is so, so, so beautiful. And just listen to that sound. It's so rich and full and beautiful. It's like almost feels velvety in its quality. It might be the acoustic she's playing in, but whoa, it's so velvety and beautiful. I don't want to press pause. It's too beautiful. Like, I know I have to comment, but I'm like, no, wait, one more note, one more note. It's so pretty. Oh my word. Okay. I do want to go back. We've got a nice close up. Again, hand position close up. A little bit straighter baby finger and ring finger. You can again get this lovely left hand position, that nice roundness. Love the black nails. Super cool. All the basics are there, you know, the position of the flute to the body. Also slight slant down of the flute here. So she's getting a little bit of a slant down. Okay, I don't want to, but I think we have to move on to our last player for today. Many in this community have mentioned how much they love his playing. And that is none other than Ian Andersen from Jethro Tull. And I have to say, I have listened to some of his playing. I mean, I've heard the big stuff, but I haven't done all that much digging, and I certainly haven't done much analyzing. So I'm quite excited. really, really interesting. Just comparing this to the more classical players that we heard a moment ago. The sound, the quality of sound is a completely different aesthetic. So by that I mean what we would probably consider to be like fluffy or airy sound in like the classical world. You'd be like, oh, listen to his sound. He really should improve his sound, don't you think? It's a completely different game when we are dealing with jazz, Irish music, pop music, modern music, any of the folk traditions, where there is just a different aesthetic for the sound. So we want a different type of a sound. A little bit more breathy, airy, but quite kind of quite expressive actually. It's like a really expressive sound. Just so beautiful. Very expressive. Just on like the other extreme, don't you just love he's walking around up and down on the stage just really freely. What I love about some of these like non-classical musicians is it just feels like the music is at the forefront of what they do. Like not to say that other people it isn't the case, but there is something about the instrument kind of just being this tool to express themselves. It's so inspiring actually to listen to as a classically trained musician. Okay, there are like 3 extended techniques there that he just used. Really, really, really cool. So the first thing that he's doing, kind of creating like percussive sounds with his tonguing into the flute. Then we heard some nice singing and playing, the voice getting going, and then landing up with some lovely flutter tonguing. And he combines these so unbelievably beautiful and seamlessly that we get this really expressive, cool effect. Again, it's not about the extended technique, it's about the expression. It's about actually expressing this music. So cool. Okay, I think I'm cancelling my plans for today. I have new plans now. Sorry, students, you will not get lessons today. I am listening to this cool music. But seriously, what have I been doing with my life? Let's just go to one other one. A very, 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 very well-known little one, which is this bourrée. Okay, I'm going to admit I have been having way too much fun. I have forgotten that I'm supposed to be analyzing his playing. I blame you, Ian Andersen. I blame you. Okay, let's just bring it back to the educational spheres for just a moment and analyze a little bit of what's going on here. This is quite a nice shot. We can see the embouchure fairly straight, maybe slightly off to the left, maybe a little bit. Even though he's moving around on stage and walking around, we're still getting this essential position of the 45-degree angle. Let's see a bit of his hand positions. Also looks like he's got a little bit of that rockstraw hold, sort of holding it back there, and slightly straighter fingers, which I know also comes a little bit from the Irish flute tradition. So possibly that. It just, you know why I forget to even analyze his playing? It's just because it just seems so unimportant. Like, it sounds great, it's beautiful, it's expressive. Like, I think what's so refreshing about this style of playing, number one, is it completely breaks barriers, right? We get this new awesome music, ultimately. It's just music, and I think that's just so cool. I think we need so much more of that. But I think what's also really cool about it is kind of getting away from this idea of like this perfect, pristine, like everything needs to be perfect and in place, and, you know, and just kind of goes into like, no, like the goal here is expression. The goal here is to make music, awesome music. Now the leg up, I know this one. Okay, that's it. It's enough for today, guys. Comment below, would you like a part 3? Who should you put in part 3? Also, did you know that I used to play in a band? If you follow us on social media, go check out our Instagram and Facebook account, and I might find a clip of me playing, definitely not even nearly as good as this badass human. I will see you guys next time.